It's a great day. My name is Shay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur, and welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show, the #1 business development and revenue focused late night show in the country where we're on a mission. And our mission is to inspire. Our mission is to empower. And our mission is to provide you, the entrepreneur, with all of the resources that are necessary to execute that big vision you have for the people you were called to serve. And on this particular episode, we have the one and only Britteny. I hope I got that right. I get that right? Petty.
Yes, you got
who's
it right.
in the building to talk about prioritizing your mental health in 30 days or less. What's up, Britteny? How are you?
Hi. I am doing great. You got my name right. Thank you.
Thank you. You helped me out, by the way. So thank you for helping me and teaching me so I wouldn't be stressed before we got started. But the folks out there listening, they're saying, wow, prioritizing your mental health in 30 days or less, Shay. It's got to be the question, why are folks, what's some of the challenges people have today with mental health? I mean, I'm not trying to be funny here, but COVID is over and gone, right? They've got more access to Instagram and TikTok and YouTube to get motivated on any given day, any given second, any given time. And yet we're having this conversation. So here's the question. Why are folks struggling today with mental health?
Well, for one, you just said one of the pieces is social media. You know, people are constantly on social media comparing themselves to other people. And then, I mean, I've heard or spoken to lots of clients who tell me they get on social media and then boom, now they're in a bad mood. They're crying, they're feeling sad, they're depressed. And it's just a never ending cycle. So honestly, my best clients are those who are not on social media, but that is a very small percent, like 1%. And so honestly, that's one big aspect of it. During COVID, so many people, that's where they began to realize, like, wait a minute, I'm not all the way together. Like, I'm not able to really talk to people like I need to. I need that interaction. And so really COVID just spotlighted some of the issues that were already present before. And so that's why people are like, you know what? I need to speak with a therapist. I need to do that. On top of the generational pieces as well, where people are starting to say, you know what? The way that things were done when I grew up is not necessarily the way that I want to do things with my own children. And I need to make a change. But how do I make that change if I don't know how? So that's why people are like, well, let me go talk to a mental health therapist.
Why don't we help some folks out now before folks send me in notes? I mean, I'm very sensitive. I just want her to share what her view of the world was. So I'm very sensitive, but I know someone saying, Shay, she's here and there's someone struggling right now before you even get on with the show. So can we slow down and you talk to the person out there right now? And I know it's unfair to put you in this situation, but they're struggling. They've got a lot of pressure going on. They could be going through a divorce. There could be a mental illness in someone in their family right now. They could have just got laid off. They could find themselves in a situation where life is just perfect for them, but yet deep down inside, they feel lost. Again, I know this is an unfair question, but if you're out there right now and you're going through some really challenging times, you're struggling, I'm going to ask her to step back for a moment, take maybe 2 or 3 minutes and just share what she would share with you out there that's listening right now. So you can be helped right now. You have to wait till later in the show. I'm going to ask Britteny if she'll stop, slow down, and just share her words of wisdom right now. Please do that.
Well, I always tell people, first of all, go ahead and get you a journal or go to your notepad on your phone and start writing down your feelings. So that way you can keep note of it. Because like I tell people, you know, one moment you might feel this way and the next minute you might feel another. And so if you can write that down, that helps you so you can communicate that effectively to others or a health professional that can help you. Because it's like, okay, on this day at this time, I was feeling like this. On this day at this time, I was feeling like this. And that helps us put all of the pieces together. But like I tell people, journal. You have to get those feelings and those thoughts out of your mind. So journal. Get physical. Do something. Don't sit around on the couch. Like, get up, go for a walk. Do something. Go to the gym. Do something. And engage in activities that you enjoy doing. And so whenever I have clients, I tell them, like in our first session, we're creating what's called the big 3. What are 3 things that we can do? So one, we're writing it down. We're putting it on the journal, on paper. If you're not a journaler, okay, we're going to put it on your notepad. Then next, we're going to get physical. We're going to get active. Go do something. Even if you say, I'll just go for a walk, that's fine. Let's do something where you are boosting your morale. And then also surrounding yourself with people who are positive, inspirational. And if you don't have that, I tell people, hey, there's always something positive you can listen to right now, whether it's on Spotify, YouTube. You don't even have to listen to the words. Just put something that's upbeat and motivating for you.
Upbeat and motivating for you makes a whole lot of sense. And as I'm thinking, there's another group of folks out there. They're like, you know what? Does she understand Shay? And we'll find out who she is in a moment. I know some of y'all are reading her bio already. I get that, but there's some folks out there that are like, Shay, that sounds great, but I have a lot going on right now. I'm a dualpreneur, so I work a full-time job. I want Brittany to know this, and I also am a full-time entrepreneur. Oh, by the way, I'm not sure she's aware of this, but I have a husband or I have a wife. Oh, by the way, Shay, I want her to be aware of that. I have kids I got to take care of, okay? And they have their own activities. And oh, by the way, Shay, just so she knows why I'm a little stressed, and I want her to get her view on what she would share with me as well, is that I'm involved in the community. And I do other things in other organizations. So I just got a lot of responsibilities, and people are counting on me. So my mental anxiety goes up. Again, that's not everybody. I'm not saying that's each and everybody, but I know there's someone out there that might be like Shay Brown and just feels like there's a lot going on. Okay. And so what would you say to that individual? We talk to the other person that's just, they're struggling right now. And then there's another group that says, I just got a lot going on, but I'm stressed. What can I do, Brittany? Is it the same? What would you say to me? Talk to that person
Well,
if you
first
would,
of
please.
all, what I would tell them is, hey, you are not alone, because I understand. And that's why I can give my clients, because I'm like, hey, being married, having 4 kids of my own, I've been there, working in business, have running my own business. Matter of fact, running multiple businesses. And also trying to be there for your friends. And like people say all the time, and like I tell people now all the time, is, hey, no one did everything great and did it well. And so the reality of it is we have to give our best, but no, we have to listen to our body and know, hey, when you need to take a break, take a break, take a step back, because you need that, you deserve that. And so sometimes we have to set clear boundaries. But in order to set those clear boundaries, we have to be real with ourselves. Hey, I'm doing too much. Like, hey, I need some help. And like, I literally just spoke on this weekend. We have to delegate and learn to ask for help. A lot of times we've been told that we can do everything and we don't need to ask for help, or we want something done right, we got to do it ourselves. But that's not true. The reality of it is we have to tell people, hey, I need some help. And I tell people all the time, even as a business owner, we have to tell people, show people, and then we have to follow up. Because if not, it's going to create a cycle where they're going to be like, oh, you'll do it. So they're just going to halfway do it. And I'm like, no, you have to tell people, show people, and then follow up.
What if they have a hard time just saying no? They feel guilty. Now, I'm only talking to Shay Brown. I'm sure right now I'm probably alone, but I'm going to just ask it for Shay Brown. Okay? Can I ask my own selfish question? What if there's this sense of when you say no, I can't, and you know you could help, but you can't at that moment because there's something else going on, and you feel like you let the person down. Like, wow, they came to me and they needed something, and I couldn't deliver. And I told them, Inc., I'm not the person that can help you. So I guess the question is, what do you do when you feel guilty when you tell folks you can't help them because there's, it's just too much for you?
Well, first, we have to stop telling people why. We don't owe anyone any explanations. But like I tell people, it's a process. It starts with mentally letting go. Because when you mentally let go and you realize it's either me or them, because if you keep doing everything, you're going to eventually wind yourself down. And I think it's safe to say that a lot of people have been in situations where, especially like my people pleasers, where you've always told people, yes, 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 like anything people need. But then that moment happens when you need something and no one is anywhere to be found. And in those moments, that's what helps you wake up and say, you know what? Like Oprah Winfrey said it best. If you don't learn to fill up your cup first, other people will run you dry. And so that is what helps you to stop feeling guilty when you realize that people are not there for you when you need them to be. And so, like I tell people all the time, we got to start matching energy. Stop pouring into people who refuse to pour into you. But you have to be real with yourself and say, hey, I cannot do anything else. I just can't. And that's okay. Because really and honestly, when you tell people a reason why, they're not even listening to that. Like, they just like, oh, you said no? Okay. And that's it. And if they get mad,
Right.
they get mad. But people cannot get mad when you are setting a boundary for yourself. Because then that means you need to look at your circle again and reevaluate those who are around you.
Who is Brittany? Watching now, they didn't get a chance to read your bio, although you're very famous. They might be cooking dinner right now, and the laptop is playing, and they're listening to us. Thank you for tuning in. Might have downloaded the podcast right now, and they're listening to us in their ear. Some people may be watching live as we're streaming right now, and they're curious, like, okay, Shay, it's making sense. I hear her, but slow down. What's her backstory? Who is this person? And what led her to this moment where she knew that helping others with mental health was going to be her jam? So you get the question, who are you? And what's the backstory that led you to doing what you're doing now?
Well, actually, I am a licensed mental health therapist. I am an author. I have two books, one called Stop the Drama, Stop Comparing, and Focus on You, and another one called Listen Up. I am an international speaker. I've gotten a chance to speak in Italy, which is pretty dope. I love that. It was really nice. Just something different, a different experience from what we see on a regular basis. I'm also a coach. I coach our educators and our entrepreneurs to help them to cultivate better relationships by prioritizing their mental health. And I actually got into this field through life experiences. A lot of times, like I tell people all the time, when you're in your younger childhood days, you're trying to figure out what you want to do. For some people, it comes natural. They know they want to be a doctor or a lawyer. But for me, it was through my life experiences. Growing up, I experienced a lot of emotional and physical abuse in my childhood. And once I became an adult, I went off to the military. And that's what was my first exposure to being able to see people needing help mentally and knowing, hey, like you have to prioritize your mental health. Like I saw people walking around with straitjackets, people not being able to have shoestrings in their shoes for fear that they're going to hurt themselves, people not being able to sleep in their bed with their sheets because they might hang themselves in the middle of the night and commit suicide. And then being in the civilian world, just realizing like, okay, whether it's me working in corporate America or me working in the field of education, that you have to prioritize your mental health, because if you do not, no one's going to take care of you better than you. No one's going to say, hey, are you good? No one's going to take care of you better than you. And that's what allowed me to realize, like, I have to take care of my mental health. But I think what really caught in for me was when I was in the classroom. I knew day one walking in when I was teaching math that, hey, yes, it's great to be a teacher, but I have to do more because I was wearing so many hats. From being the teacher, I felt like I had to be their parent. I had to do so many things in that classroom. That was like, okay, as a teacher, I'm not able to help the way I need to be. And then that's what led me to school counseling, which then I realized then that I'm not able to be a school counselor because you're doing so many administrative tasks. And that's what led me to the full out mental health, being able to help and do things from that aspect.
So as we're listening now, thanks for sharing a little bit about your backstory. Now help us out. If we said, hey, what are 5 things or 3 things or 2 things or 5 things, whatever the number is you want to share that someone can do to actually be able to take back control of their mental health or stabilize it over the next 30 days? It's a loaded question, ladies and gentlemen, but she's ready for this. Don't worry, we're going to ask about what all those plaques are behind it. We're going to ask her what those sayings are. Don't worry, we see it. But first, she got to help us out, okay? So what are maybe 2, 3, maybe 5 tips or ideas you have that can help us right now in this present moment?
Well, I definitely say I always start with my big 4. I tell people, first of all, you have to schedule. You have to be intentional with anything you do, just like you have to be intentional with your work meetings or anything that you're doing to get from one level to the next. You have to schedule it. You have to schedule time on your calendar by prioritizing your mental health, putting it on your calendar. Like I tell people all the time, you have to date yourself. Like literally put it on the calendar. No matter what comes up, you do not change. Like that is your time to really sit down and get real with yourself. Like, okay, is what I'm doing now, is that in alignment with my future self, where I desire to be? And if not, that's your time to really make some changes so you can see yourself in a different light and be where you desire to be. So number two, I tell people you have to do something that you enjoy doing. So whether it's bowling, painting, playing music, do something that just gives you a life. Because when you're doing for everybody, I mean, nonstop, from the time you wake up to the time you go to bed, you have to have time for yourself. And if not, you're going to lose your joy in life. So you have to realize, okay, I got to do something for me. And number three, I love to tell people you have to set clear boundaries. You have to do that because if you don't do that, people are going to have you doing everything but what you need to do for yourself. And so it starts with you. You have to set those boundaries. No one's going to respect boundaries that you don't even abide by. But like I tell people, you have to be clear about it and you have to set it up front. Because like I tell like my clients that I deal with relationships, I tell them, hey, you cannot start off with someone, letting them come in at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden not being able to do that. And so that becomes a problem when you think about it from that aspect. And so, like I tell people, you have to make sure that you are setting those clear boundaries and you have to be real upfront because if not, that's going to be a problem. And then number four, I tell people you have to match energy. So, hey, stop pouring into people who refuse to pour into you. And so that means you have to be real. You have to reevaluate your friend circles, reevaluate your family circles. Because I hear people all the time say, it's family. And I get that. But they will drive you to a grave if you do not set boundaries and say, hey, I just cannot. And it's okay. It's okay to say no. It's okay.
We're listening, and thanks. You're just sharing. This is wonderful. This is right on time. And they're thinking her life must be perfect. Shay, check this out. I mean, she can just rock and roll. She knows how to do this so perfectly. We have a segment here called "Today is My January 1st." Now, for those folks that tune in every night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, you know what we're about to do. We're gonna find out one of her setbacks. Okay, we're gonna see if there was ever a challenge in her life. But for those folks that are here every night, you can go ahead and say those magical words that you wait to say. That today is my January 1st. Doesn't that feel good? It's your January 1st. And for the new folks, welcome to the Happy Entrepreneur Show family. Today is my January 1st is our personal mantra. It represents a do-over. It represents a fresh start. It means the past, no matter how happy it is or how dark and gloomy it is, the past no longer equals the future. So my question for Brittany on the other side, as she's there, is when you hear those words, today is my January 1st, what do you hear? And number two, was there a setback? Was there a time in your life where you got rocked to the core, if it happened to you? And then how did you bounce back?
Well, when I hear January 1st, I'm like, man, it's time to go all out, go all in. Because when you look at your life, every year I tell people you should be aiming to elevate. And so when you think about, for example, being on social media, you see like those posts and people always ask you, what are the first 3 words that you see? And so for myself, the first word I see is alignment, walking in alignment. And so that is something that helps me to say yes to anything that's in alignment with me and where I'm going, and no to anything that's not in alignment, which helps me stay on track. Because if I'm working with my clients, I can't be out here all out of alignment. I'm over here, I'm over there, doing all these different things, and I'm not even walking in alignment. And so when I hear of January 1st, when I think about that, I think about walking in full out alignment, taking time for myself, making sure that I am living a life that leads by example. Because, hey, with 4 kids and being a wife, you're always doing so many different things on top of running businesses. And I have to be mentally whole in order to help my clients. But when we talk about having a setback, yes, setbacks, they come and they go. When you're living life, that life just be life, as we say all the time, right? But I would definitely say one of my setbacks would be just encountering my childhood, having to push forward through that and really seeking my own inner healing. Because, like I said, growing up, I dealt with a lot of emotional and mental abuse, being the oldest. It comes with a lot when you're the oldest, but it was a lot of abuse until I found out that my dad that raised me was not my biological father. And so then I began to realize, okay, this is why my mom takes things out on me, or this is why she treats me different. But having to push forward, because once you become an adult, you have no excuses. You can't sit here and say, oh, I treat people this way because of I was treated this way, or I am cold hearted because I was beat on or abused and things of that nature. And I had to really do the work. And do the work, meaning to do it for myself so I could be healed and whole, and also to be able to love my own children the way that I needed to love them from my own life experiences.
Wow. Thanks for sharing. Thanks for being so authentic with us, by the way. And we're all wondering, you got those big plaques behind you, and we can see some of them. And they're like, Shay, what do they represent? What do they say? Do it with passion or not at all? Um, why do you? I guess the question is, how do affirmations help impact you? We can see it, so there's visuals there, and I know it's going to sound overly simplistic, and it might be an overused phrase or question, but how are affirmations like this still so impactful to you through all the years? And if so, what's one of them that stands out that's like, I don't know if it's the one behind you or not, but what's one that stands out that's on your wall that you hold near and dear to you that helps you really stay focused, stay
Man,
grounded?
honestly, that's why I bought this one that says do it with passion or not at all. Because honestly, it reminds me of the one that's behind you with the Mamba mentality. And it really just helps me because, one point
I got a
I
shout out.
would
I got a shout out. Thank you for the shout out, by the way. We'll take the shout out. Honor the man behind us. No, I'm joking with you. It's all about you today.
Well, I would definitely say that's what helps me because at one point in my life when I wasn't in alignment, I would do anything. Like you could come to me and show me how to make some money and it was legal. I was like, shoot, sign me up. But then I realized that okay, I wasn't passionate about it. So I've done Mary Kay, I've done Amway, all of that, and I wasn't passionate about it. At one point, I did electricity. Now I was really good at that, but it got to a point where me and my kids were at the grocery store and we're walking up to people. Hey, who's your electricity provider? Oh, let me sign you up. Let me see if I can get you approved. $0 deposit. And I was just like, wow, if I can do this for others, for somebody else's company, I can do it for myself. And so it helped me realize, like, hey, if it's not something that I'm passionate about, then it's a no. It's a no. And don't do it at all. Don't even give energy to it if it's not something that I am passionate about. Another thing I always love is scriptures. That's what motivates me. So I love Psalm number 139, verse 14, that says, I am fearfully and wonderfully made whole. Because, like I tell people all the time, like I have some clients that say, oh, affirmations, they don't help me. Yes, they do. Because at the end of the day, if you are not just speaking positivity into your life and letting yourself know that you are worthy, how can you expect other people to affirm you or lift you up? And so, whenever I say it like that, then clients are like, you know what, you're right. If I'm not saying something kind to myself or positive to myself, then how can I expect other people to say kind things to me or to uplift me? And that is the beginning of knowing who you are and whose you are. And you can walk with confidence because you're telling yourself these things. Like, I can do it. I can do anything I put my mind to. Like, I am worthy. I'm worthy of love. And it starts with you.
It all starts with you. I love how you said that. What's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given? And I like to frame the conversation for the audience that you've had so many mentors along this journey of life. You had some you've read, maybe some you've watched online, maybe some you work with one-on-one. But if you had to reach out to any of the mentors and grab one of the ideas that's near and dear to you that you would share with the audience under the question, what's one of the best pieces of advice? What would it be? And you as an audience, this is where you get to lean in and kind of like listen a little carefully because you get to hear something that's near and dear to her heart that she's going to share with you. So here's the question. What's one of the best pieces of advice you've ever been given?
To be honest with you, recently, this last weekend, I just spoke at Author All Star. And this is one of the biggest audiences I've ever spoken to on prioritizing your mental health. And a lady, she walks up to me and she asks me, she says, are you ready? Are you ready for tomorrow? And I'm like, yes, just a little nervous. And she said, well, honey, you can't mess up being yourself. And that's all I needed to hear. In that moment, I was like, you know what? I cannot mess up if I'm just real. Like she told me, she said, hey, you're not trying to be somebody else, are you? I said, no, ma'am. So she said, okay, well, you got this. And that's all I needed to hear. And when I tell you I was able to walk on stage, speak. People walked up to me, told me how their life was changed, and just seeing the transformation was amazing. And how people said, I love your personality, because at the end of the day, I was being me. And so my advice to anybody is, hey, if you're doing something, just be yourself. Be yourself. Of course, know your content, but just be yourself and you're good. Nobody can take that away from you as long as you are walking in authenticity.
Being you is beautiful. As we come down the home stretch, it's a two-part question. Number one, what type of clients are you looking to work with these days? And number two, how can folks best connect with you so they can stay in the conversation over and beyond the time that you and I have?
Yes. Well, like I tell everyone, most people that come to me now for anxiety, depression, having that work-life balance. So that's primarily the clients that I do work with, are those who just really, truly want to change their mindset, because it all starts with your mindset. I don't care if you are dealing with depression, if you are dealing with anxiety, it all starts mentally. And once we start there, then we can start to make progress. So for people to get in contact with me, I always tell them they can go to focusyoursuccess.com and they can download my 30-day actionable calendar on 30 days, 30 ways that you can maintain a positive mental health mindset. And they can also follow me on Instagram at empower_crown up. So that's empower_crown up on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok. It's all the same.
Well, let me say first, thanks so much for being on the Happy Entrepreneur Show. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This has been awesome.
Good. And thank you. Thank you to viewers. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for showing up. We appreciate every comment, every like. Whenever you share this message forward or you connect with us on YouTube, it helps pay the message forward to many other folks that are out there. So thank you for being here, because without you, there is no show. And I never get tired at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time every night, reminding you and sharing with you that you are just so awesome, that you really are so incredible, that you're someone out here, no matter what's going on in the world, you're having impact, you're making a difference, and you're changing lives, and that today is your January 1st. And because of just that one reason alone, I believe your best is still yet to come. Your best is yet to come. Your best is yet to come. With that being said, my name, it hasn't changed. It's Jay Brown, the Happy Entrepreneur. Make it a great day, everyone. And I promise you, from the bottom of my heart, we'll make some good things happen. We connect again next time. God bless, and we wish you success. Peace. Bye-bye. So long, Brittany.
Bye.